Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Guess we're gonna get started in a few minutes, but we're trying to see because people are still joining. We're gonna give everybody about a couple minutes.
Yeah, and as we have many people from many different locations, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're from, what is the temperature. I know it's still August, but people are in the South Hemisphere and or North Hemisphere might be different. That'd be interesting to get a bit of fun from productions.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in Houston right now. It's the end of the summer, still hot. We were out in around Galveston area yesterday, and I don't know, still pretty hot.
Yeah, hello Angie. Yeah, 80 degrees. Yeah, but it's very humid. I can imagine in Washington DC. Hello Jody. Hello Stacy.
I think Wisconsin is the state that's going to survive global warming. That's the
Yeah. Well, it's very warm in London.
Okay, we have about 145 people joined. Give it one more minute and then we'll start. Yeah, I was actually about Arizona weather. It doesn't matter even if it's 100 degrees, it's dry heat. I was in Vegas last week and 100 degrees. Beautiful. All right, let's get started. So this is about agentic AI. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Rashid. I'm an Aggie. I graduated in 2007 from a computer engineering program there. And then I worked for Accenture for about 7 years. I was a data integration consultant. I worked on a very large projects, $10 million plus data engineering projects. Like the $10 million were for data engineering efforts in big companies, Fortune 500 and the like. So after that, I started Capella Solutions, targeting mid-market companies. What I realized with the work at Accenture is that there's a lot of edge coming from data by itself, and so I went to try to do and replicate that for mid-market companies, for smaller businesses, mid-market companies. And that's how I started working as a consultant and for smaller companies, and then try to expand and create a product around that. I've been in data and AI since I graduated. It's my passion to work on those kind of things, and I really have a passion for taking understanding business and ROI and building cases around that. So I like the technical plus the business side of it. This webinar, I want to walk you through what agentic AI is, and hopefully you get some clarity on what it is and why it's important, and how to start a project in that area. We're going to walk through some examples, real world, of how AI solutions, implementations and the ROI. And we're going to have a few tools that will help you determine the cases to approach AI. So what exactly is agentic AI? So I'm going to bring up a story about my travel plans coming back from Jeddah this summer. We were flying back to Houston, and we're trying to figure out, hey, like one of the flights came up with a 1 hour stop in London, and I have two girls. I'm with my family, so I was wondering if that's going to be enough time for me to do the connection. So I asked a simple question, like, is that 1 hour, 20 minutes? It's a simple thing that everybody planning travel would ask. The difference now is that we have agentic AI, and this is with like thought mode turned on. And I'm bringing this up because it will give you an idea of what agentic AI means. So in 31 seconds, it went and researched first, am I going into the terminal in the right terminal? Am I leaving from the right terminal? What's the time that it's going to take to travel between those two terminals? And then it went and pulled up the last 30 days of flights leaving Jeddah, and how many of those would arrive in London on time for me to be able to make the connection. And then it looked up the outbound flight, and then it did the same thing, 30 flights. Like, you would never do this kind of analysis if you're trying to plan a flight, because it's just too much work. At the end of the day, it told me that you have a 1 in 20 chance for me to miss the flight. Are you willing to take that chance or not? So my thinking, that if it wasn't for what AI could do today, I was gonna make a decision based on what I thought at that time, not necessarily based on data. So this is key of what AI is enabling for us today. And that's one aspect of what agentic AI does. And I'm going to go into what agentic AI is in a little bit more detail, but at a high level, the agentic part here is that it did research for me. It pulled up data, and then it summarized that data and gave me the answer. And this is with it using a single tool, and that tool was the search engine, or being able to search through and browse web pages. So how does that translate to business? This whole thing was showing us the value of AI with that one tool, browsing websites. When it comes down to your business, it becomes more. It probably becomes more valuable. So when you're asking questions to AI, if you saw it like, oh, hey, our Q2 revenue and gross margin fell, what made that drop, and what should we do about it? When you provide AI with the tools, access to your systems, you're going to be able to ask that question, and AI can go and drill down into your Oracle database, your Snowflake or Salesforce databases, whatever your systems may be, pull the necessary information, build the insight, and give you the reasoning why or how or whatnot. So it's basically doing the job of a data analyst for you. And that's still one of the use cases of what AI could do. All right, so I touched on this earlier, which I saw in large enterprises, sophisticated data and AI teams being used to create an unfair edge at the large enterprise companies. That unfair edge is missing in the mid-market. The mid-market teams, they mostly rely on intuition because they have resource constraints. They don't, to be able to utilize data properly, you either have to rely on a single system that covers your entire business, which may apply for smaller businesses, but when you get into the mid-sized businesses, that one system story ends. And in the mid-market, you have to transition from being able to make decisions where everything is cookie cutter built for you in a SaaS product to something where you have to rely on your own team to do it. But the problem happens here in the mid-market where you have to bring the right people to do this, and you have to have some continuity to be able to do that. And so there's a gap that exists in the mid-market for that. And our key insight here is data becomes valuable when it's accessible at the moment of decision. So if you saw what AI is doing right now, it's providing power to everybody to, it's at the moment of decision because people, well, I wouldn't say lazy, but people look at the effort of doing the research versus coming up with an answer. And sometimes good enough is good enough. Like you don't have to over dwell on making decisions. Making the decision is better than dwelling on something. But having that extra data point will improve the chances for your decisions at the moment of taking those decisions. We'll whether it's at the executive level, at the management level, or the operation level. So what we did here is at Capella, we productized the enterprise data and AI this function, and we're offering a full stack accountable team and service for that. So just a little bit more about that. So Capella, we've been running. It has been running as a company for 14 years. We've done hundreds of projects. We're a full stack innovation and delivery team. We have this service, it's a product that is made towards helping mid-market companies build and compete with data and AI. It's a flat $9K per month, and then we provide a chief data and AI officer to oversee the program. So we cover discovery requirements, priorities. We cover architecture and governance. We cover building the data, building the analytics, and most importantly, it's the continuity of the service. Basically, it's just having somebody that you can rely on to continuously improve on how how your data is organized and how you make decisions, how you automate some of the AI. So that's just a quick intro about our company and what we do. So and the results are there's just an endless amount of value that gets created. We'll go into the first poll. Cedric.
Yeah, so we put some polls which should bring some
insight
for you from you guys. Yeah. So what is the biggest challenge your company faces with AI adoption? That's interested to take the temperature from all the attendees. Yeah. Every poll will make it run for 1 minute to give everyone the opportunity to answer. I can see it's quite active right now. So 20 more seconds.
Fernando, I don't know if you can post your question in the question room. We have an offshore team for our development, but you have technical project management and the CDAO onshore, which is a consultant with a background in data and AI and business.
Yeah, I'm showing the result, Rashid. So what you can see is that the most responded answers is a lack of AI expertise within the team, followed by understanding AI's real business impact by 28%.
Correct. Okay. I think we're gonna address one of these at least. The understanding AI's real business impact. I hope we give you enough information about that in this webinar. So the first step here is like, why should you think about AI now? I think a lot of people are interested in AI. That's why they joined this call, but I'm gonna just talk about it briefly. There's an AI revolution. It's you can see it with the numbers. You can see it with how much money is being spent on this. Some say some think it's a bubble, and there's always an overhyping, but it's such a massive thing that is moving a lot of businesses and a lot of companies that it's not. What's going to burst is the overinflation of hype, but the reality is that it's going to affect businesses in a similar way that the internet changed a lot of things. And so our job is to get ahead of that wave and implement the things that the new powers that we have before somebody else takes that business away from you, right? Basically. And then there's just lower cost and there's significant ROI. So there's just with our projects and with our companies, we have seen significant ROI. Outside of us, we've seen that in the news or in the media that's being published by researchers. So this is the S&P 500. You can see here. This is how many. Starting the fourth quarter of 2022 through 25, you can see a major change in how AI has been referenced by earning calls. So over the past 10 years, there's been AI mentions, but like you can see, there's a dramatic change that happened since the last quarter of 2022. And there are major studies that have said, seen that, there's a large ROI and return coming for every dollar spent into AI. What this tells us is that doing nothing becomes the riskiest strategy. So, sitting under a rock, looking at all these things, saying, okay, I'm going to continue doing my business as is probably not the best strategy at this point. That's the summary here. So PwC projection, it varies a lot between McKinsey and PwC, but there's a very large portion of GDP that's going to be determined by adopting AI. All right, so I'm going to look at one of our clients and bring in I'm bringing in a few of those. There you go. Okay. So we have an aerospace manufacturer that we've been working with for six years now. They have a multi-site operation. It's actually a PE-backed company that's a roll-up of specialized facilities. They brought them all together and they're trying to find synergy between them. So they serve airplane, military, aerospace. So they have very stringent quality and compliance programs, and they have operations with many systems across sites. Just like I said, we've worked with them for 6 years, and we're going through this one AI system that we have created. Through that time, we have about 22 projects that we created, which averages about one project in a 4-month window. They originally approached us because they were looking at doing, they had a spreadsheet manual process for quoting. They came to us, and then there's just inconsistency in that. And that they're reporting, but then as soon as we started working with them, we discovered that they have 32 systems across 10 different sites. They had like a massive sprawl of databases, and they really had strong problems with data and that. So there's just no single source of truth. And I remember the client telling me about the reporting. People don't stop trusting it, and they would just not look at it, and they would. Everybody has their own type of way to pull out their reports. It was a mess. But let's talk about an AI implementation there. So I'm out of those 22 projects, I'm picking a few of those things that we've done and going through them, because I think they apply to a lot of businesses. The pricing and quoting side of the business is something that a lot of businesses use in manufacturing or construction or health, or a bunch in oil and gas. So we see it a lot. So before they had spreadsheets, and let me tell you just a quick thing about pricing. A lot of the pricing efforts are really cost determination on one aspect, and on the other aspect, it's the figuring out what the market value of what you're trying to do. So, and between those is the profit, and for one thing, you want to have a really good estimation of the cost, and really nail that down. And you can only nail that down if you have good instrumentation, good data to support your costing. And then on the other side, it's the pricing aspect. The pricing aspect is market driven, and so there are AI solutions for that, and then determining what the true value of what you're trying to do, or what money you can get for something. And so those are the results of that. We can, so we're looking at before and after. We did automation on RFQ documents that are coming in to just standardize and remove some of the grunt work that is involved in that. And then we look to model a lot of their processes based on actual physical constraints and whatnot. So that's basically the cost side of the process. And on the marketing side, we created a model. We're looking at the win rate. So that was the biggest study, and they do a lot of costing and pricing that we really were targeting on that one KPI, which is the win rate. And so we created a model. We trained it on what are the variables that are most important, that are relevant. And it turned out, yeah, price had an impact, but it was not fully the price that made the difference. Sometimes you have competitive advantage in some areas, in some regions, that is not available for them to really compete. So there was just a large data model that we created. At the time, it was not generative AI, so we were working with models, but that data science driven AI gave this company a big lift in the win rate at that point. So just move on to the second poll.
Yeah. Do you see AI transforming your business in the next 2 years? Yeah. So either increasing operational efficiency and reducing cost, or improving customer experience through automation, accelerating data-driven decision-making, enhancing employee productivity, or we are not planning to adopt AI in the future. 30 more seconds. Well, I can still see people answering.
Any
5 more
deals?
seconds.
Sure.
There we go. So I'm going to share the results. So we have a clear winner, which is increasing operational efficiency and reducing cost by 46%, then followed by enhancing employee productivity. I think that kind of like relay what your message were, Rashid, on the different business case. And let's move on. I think we'll go more into tangible details.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely increasing operational efficiency and reducing cost is a big one, and in general, employee productivity. And then we have that data-driven decision making is a big one as well. All right, so how to get the value from AI? So the one thing that we saw is AI keeps improving, and I got that a lot from people that are interested in getting into that models. What happens if the model changes? What happens when OpenAI comes up with a new model? Does that mean everything that we worked for? When we started, it was ChatGPT 3.5, and things have progressed dramatically after that. But what we learned from all that is that models are really commodities. They're improving, and you can switch one for another. That's not the deal here. The value really comes from, like you saw in the from that first, is when you integrate that into your flow of the work. So that's the basic part. So that's where the data plus integration is where the ROI lives. So I'm going to go into an informational couple of slides here, and hopefully you get to see the progression of AI and into agentic AI, and then we can go and move on to actual examples of how AI is improving operations, how agentic AI is improving operations. But there's classical ML, so just like I mentioned in that previous example, and that's the data science, and there's an abundance of cases that's where you're gonna use your data to predict what's going to happen. Those are models that get built based on your own data sets. In manufacturing and industrial, it's predictive maintenance. In supply chain and logistics, it's demand forecasting. In the pricing, basically, it's figuring out what the market value of certain things. Sales and revenue ops, so that's the classical ML is predicting what will happen. Generative AI, on the other hand, is what you're familiar with, the chatbots. You ask a question, you get back a response based on those, and so you're able to use that in a variety of ways. But that's still, those are the basic things. One big use case that you can use in automation or one big area generative AI helps is that it's a great translator. It can read documents. It can understand an OCR. The document intelligence is an emerging aspect of generative AI that's helping you integrate and automate a lot of processes. And so that's what lets you extract structured data from those documents is that. And then a level above these things, or I mean, I suppose it's a different level, is called retrieval augmented generation. You might have heard that in when you're looking at solutions, but that's where you bring some of your data, whether it's unstructured or structured, and you give the AI access to that, and that's where you can create your first level support, so like Q&A, and you have like you have SOPs, very very straightforward and easy to do that today. You can bring a lot of your documentation, create a repository, and add a chatbot on top of that. So your users will be able to ask questions. If you're for your finance team, for your HR team, for your procurement team, instead of looking up those answers through it's not just search, it's search plus extracting the pieces of information and the logic to solve some of your problems. And so those kind of solutions are pretty straightforward. You take a bunch of your documentation and you create a chatbot on top of them. It's called a retrieval augmented generation. The last piece, which is the focus of this call, is the agentic AI, and that's where you automate complex tasks across your systems, and that's like a full end-to-end automation. In the quote to cash pricing system that we mentioned before, we we had an ingestion of the RFQ, which comes in as an email, and this more describes a construction use case here, where we normalize the BOMs, we extract and take it to our pricing. Some of this stuff is already priced, so we basically put a number there, and some of it needs human review, and we take that to the human review. Those things like quote to cash, finance AP have been implemented in many organizations. I know every organization has a different process to pricing or whatnot, but for the finance AP one, it's there is variance, but it's more variance in the workflows that happen. But the idea here is that AI can read documents now at a very high accuracy level. In a recent system that we built, we got to 99% accuracy in extracting those documents across a variety of formats. A person's ability to do data entry is at 94, 96% accuracy maximum. And so when you have AI being able to do something higher than that, then you can elevate the accuracy, make things faster, get this process out of your normal drudging. But basically, those tasks are the time-consuming tasks that nobody wants to do, and so you can take it out of your pipeline. There's in healthcare, there's a lot of claim case management. We've worked with a dental management system, and we've helped them identify data from documents, extract data from documents, automate some process, and we'll go through some of that in a later slide. Yeah, the last one is scheduling and field operations. What we do with agentic AI right now is it can become your operator. And so if you have if you build a system around that, you can have AI do the scheduling for you, make decisions based on a variety of variables. Back to, okay. So we're gonna go through this step by step, how to transform processes. So how do you actually go through this agentic AI? If you want to implement agentic AI, what are the steps to do that? The very first thing is really instrumental, which is the measurement part. You have to have measurement on your process. You cannot really improve anything until you measure it. And so with AI or a person doing this, it's always going to be the same thing. You have to establish what the KPIs are for the process that you're trying to improve and what are your goals at the beginning. And the instrumentation, usually it becomes either it's a data entry aspect, or something that one of your machines can give, and that's the key aspect of any AI implementation. And then we can add the decision piece. The decision piece could be classical AI ML, or it could be a generative AI, and they all have pros and cons. It's not one or the other. Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. So, but there's a decision aspect here that needs to happen. And the third piece is the act, which makes it agentic, is that it can act on its own. Sometimes you can do act on its own by itself, or sometimes you have to do human in the loop. And that's a decision that comes from the second step as well, which is whether it's going to need assistance or not. And the fourth step is you put back the result. Whether you're working with generative AI or classical AI, we have to always create data for us to learn. And that data becomes very useful when you're making improvements to the system. Even if you don't have AI in the system, we started with improvements to the costing procedure. Like we had to, the non-scientific method, which is we've done costing, and we've taken it out, and then we started working on the actual work that we got from our quotation that we sent. And then we realized that there's variance there. If you don't learn, your variance gap is going to always be a gap. And then, that's something that you have to really put in place early, so that your process is a continuous improvement. So all of that is triggered on the measure point. And for measure point to be good, it has to be done in a consistent way and a very, very repeatable way. So you have to ensure you have clean inputs. Whether it's you're trying to improve any type of process, from marketing to operations to machinery. So you have to pull that data, you connect it, and then you have to clean it up. And that's where you unify entities, you extract customers, or you deduplicate customer sites, asset IDs, part IDs, etc. You create your master data set. And once you have a clean data set, you're able to apply business rules and make decisions based on that. So that measure step is, if you don't have the right data, you're not going to be able to make the right decisions. You're not going to be able to make the actions. You're not going to be able to do the learning. And so it all revolves around having that correct. So going back to the aerospace client that we had, and we do have, at any given time, we have 6 or 7 clients running in parallel. But we have this aerospace client examples that we're going through just to see, just to give you continuity on the value that we create there. So we created a centralized data platform. We built a data warehouse for them, automated recurring reports into Power BI dashboards, established real-time pipelines, and shared definitions for KPIs and SLA. So we kind of structured how they deal with data. And that gave them a lot more confidence to look at data and make decisions based on that. And then when you go back to the pricing problems, they were not able to determine if there was an improvement or not until we went through a lot of these data improvements. And so that's where we standardized and deduplicated their records. Their reporting were pretty much off. that's where we went. And like, let's just like say pricing, win rate. They, some of their customers would send the same proposal multiple times, and so you don't want to count that twice. Because the way that the aerospace business works is that it comes through from multiple. It's the same part, the same work, but it comes through from multiple vendors, or multiple channels. So I'm going to map how all that translates into the one AI project. So the fractional CDAO put priority on the use cases by ROI. And then it's just organizing what we can do and when. It's understanding, the level of effort that it's going to take to do this versus that. It's understanding what business ROI we can create from here and there. So it's that overarching understanding of the two sides, the business and the technical. And then there's an architecture and data team. Those are the ones that are going to help build the pipelines, prepare the features for AI, or the data that comes from your different systems. Understand that piece. There's an AI and automation team. We tap into that when we want to build models, or they have background in the Gen AI, in the RAG, in the machine learning, and that's what's gonna the automation team can connect to your ERP, CRM, and guys, like, we have gone a long ways with integration into systems where we use API. Sometimes we use a bot which clicks around on your screen and gets the job done, whether it's data entry. Sometimes there's not a natural way to integrate into a system, and so we do those bots that act like a person. Whether it's an ERP, it logs into it. It does actions within your system just like a normal person would. So that those automation bots, we usually do them in Playwright or Selenium, if anybody is technical or familiar. But those have saved us a lot of times from dead ends where the automation will then need a person to do it. So AI is now able to take us through that. And then at the end of this is the product management. That's the project management plus product management, which ensures that the final result, the product, is in the right hands. Where we're doing all that is organized by organized for you, and it's a seamless experience. The idea here is having consistency across the board. So this slide I'm just gonna go over. I'm just gonna reiterate the importance of data. When you're implementing an ERP or CRM or whatnot, what are you doing there? You're actually you're creating a data store, and everything that we do is about the data that we enter in. So it's CRM activities are basically what tasks, and the database is what helps us do our operation. So this whole systematic view of what we do, it has been enabled by computers, and computers are basically databases. In fact, that's the one thing that's going to remain after AI takes over everything. In a way, basically, it's the data that is the key thing that we're maintaining. And when it comes to handling data, most organizations might have built a data foundation. They might know what a data warehouse is, or they have slapped some BI on top of their existing systems in some way. But a lot of companies stop in this area, so they haven't really explored a lot of the value that can come from data and the operational automations that can happen when data is in the right state. And so what our job is help companies drive that value up by working on these basic things at the beginning, but then helping the company evolve in the way that when you have trust in data, you can operationalize insight. But if you don't have any trust in that data, I don't think you can move on to that level. And and that's what we were trying to work with IT directors or with businesses in general. You know, it's a step-by-step process, but we get there. Move on to the third poll.
Yeah, everyone. So are you currently exploring AI solution for business automation? Yes, we are actually researching solution. We are in early planning stages. We have implemented AI, but need further optimizations. No, we are not open to learning more, or no, AI is not a priority for us. 30 more seconds.
Oh, we have good attendance today.
Yeah, it's quite tight in terms of the answers. Let's see who wins. Got 10 more seconds. I can see still people answering. 5. Very good. Sharing the results. You can see it's very tight. So yes, we are actively researching solution is winning by 29%, followed by we are in the early stage of the early planning stage at 26%. So I think you're in the good webinar, yeah. So that's where we're here to help. And by the way, Rashid and the Capella Solution team is offering a free consultation. So I'm posting the link on the chat. If you're interested by learning more about what could be the automation opportunity or AI opportunity, Rashid is here to help. So feel free to set up a meeting with him.
Okay. And yeah, thank you, Cedric. And hopefully I didn't bore you with the same client, but interesting implementation in a different area, which is purchase order automation. The thing about continuity with a set of clients, and I would urge you to do that with any type of work. If you're working with the vendor on a one project basis, a lot of times, you know, your business is complex, and learning that complexity and getting into the weeds is where you are able to build powerful solutions. It's the combination of technical knowledge and deep expertise in your particular company that will make a difference. And so I urge you to build partnership with a vendor, be it Capella or other, and have a long-term versus that one shot at a time project-based type of deals. We do end up building a roster of projects, but you know, what we have been able to discover is that, you know, if you don't hire a person to go and do one thing at a time and then wait for 4 or 5 months and then give them something else that's totally unrelated, the continuity of projects is what enables us to deliver continuous improvements. And the ROI from this is just enormous when you come to see it. It pays it pays for itself folds. So we implemented purchase order automation on that company. They were receiving purchase orders but just needless to say, $650,000 of labor savings every year. And there were three months to implement this. It's just data entry, they had a massive amount of data entry that they wanted to get rid of. And it was at 10 minutes per purchase order. Purchase orders for this industry is about 6 pages long, and it involves the actual how to process a part kind of description. And so it was not just the purchase order automation that created the 10 minutes. The data entry was about 3 or 4 minutes out of that, and then the rest of it was planning. But planning relied on some information there, so we did automation to the planning as well. And so it was crazy numbers when we got done with this. So there's 5 FTEs that did that type of work, and purchase orders were in very random, and that's not something that was possible before generative AI got into document automation. So these are the things that we have discovered in there. So it's and then the power of it is not just the automation side, but also the speed at which you can get those things. I'm just going to go through this again, but one accountable team that work for the data, AI, and automation, that makes a big difference when you're working on this. Compounding value, which is getting into the weeds, understanding complexity, all that kind of stuff. You have somebody that's already ramped up to what you guys do, so that when you want to do something, you have a faster time to impact. You can leverage that. There's a lower total cost of ownership, so it really beats hiring 5+ specialized roles and having that flexibility to scale. So the one AI package is, we're deploying about 1.5 FTE to do this. So it's kind of like a spread. Many clients, or some clients at times, they elect to add a few more resources to certain projects that they have a shorter time frame for. But we're still doing a project every 3-4 months with that 1.5 FTE. And the idea here is that we switch around the resources so that skilled people in specific areas do the certain things that they're skilled at, and that's the real power. So back into agentic AI, I want to describe to you that AI today can handle 70% of the where it's really impacting. If you have document handling, there's like that 70% of that document handling, validation, filing, posting, etc., data entry. That's something that AI definitely will help you with. 50% of status chasing. So we've implemented an agent in. We might productize it, but it's a follow-up monkey. It's some agent that you can tell it, hey, follow up on this person. We need to get those documents, and it will, or follow up on this invoice with this customer, and you give it that command, and it will keep asking that person until it receives a response. It's an interleaved ask. It's a very natural and interleaved ask, but stats chasing happens a lot in a lot of operational systems, like accountants, for example. They half of their business is chasing after documents from their customers. And then informational search, which is the retrieval augmented generation. That there's about you can reduce the work there by 30% in a very strong way. And then automation, there's a potential for 25% reduction in the decision making processing through automation and smart routing. So what Cedric mentioned this, we have basically that's the free webinar offer, is a 45-minute strategy workshop. And that's something with me or one of the partners that are qualified to be a CDAO. And we help you understand your business. We help understand your business challenges and problems throughout that session. We create a recommendation report based on that, which is a t-shirt sizing of some of the things that you mentioned, ROI projections based on what you've mentioned. And if you do want to move forward based on this program, we will waive the discovery fee. So, if you're looking to investigate anything in particular, so we can get into that and really help understand. And really, a lot of our clients start from a project that we deliver and value that we create. So there's no commitment. It's a month to month, but a lot of people have stuck with us for 4 or 5 years based on that. So more on what does agentic AI help with? We mentioned documents. Yes, it's intake extract from documents. We work with a healthcare company, and we're doing referral intake, which used to be a laborious process of reading 25 pages, understanding which patients that they want to take and which patients are not going to take it. We greatly leveraged AI through that. So classifying and routing. Sometimes all you need to do is figure out who's going to handle this versus that, and so that's a great add there. Are pushing data directly to your systems, like if you're still typing stuff in from emails, you no longer have to do that, and we can show systems that operate in this area in a future call. And I don't think we have much time left. I think I ran out of time. There was another use case here, but so I don't want to miss it here. And so that's for a medical company. So there was an offshore team that was working to do some QA process on nurse notes. What we did is we replaced that with AI. A lot of the offshoring kind of work can get replaced with AI, and we've done a triple increase here. The timing went down. It matters a lot to them, and apologize for not finishing this. I think if you sign up for a session, I think we'll be able to get through a little bit more, answer questions. But if you guys have any questions that I can answer, Cedric, go ahead. Yes, definitely. You can get the copy of the slides or a copy of the meeting itself. I can go through some of this in the recording as well. Cedric, do you have?
Yeah, you have a question from Peter. What percentage of your current clients have reported tangible positive savings, incremental revenue through Capella's work?
Good question. So we have, I don't think we have any failures. Like I would say this medical company, there was a lot of hesitation to get started. They got to about 3 months in, we got about 65K of annual savings. And we did 2 different AI. I was just on a call earlier this morning with them. I wanted a more concrete number, but they don't have it. But they are fixing to announce this to the board as a major differentiation that they have. He's talking about drastic improvement. That was the CEO of 30 million revenue company that I was talking to. I would say, there's a high success rate. I wouldn't say everything is a major success, but a lot of it is having early failure discovery. So you kind of look at what you're trying to do. You don't want to invest in something that you either cannot be done technically, or there's the ROI is not very clear. And I have a slide to discuss how you do the process evaluation, which is this exact one. It's about risk and reward, and you begin with low risk, high reward kind of areas, which are tried and proven ROI generators. And then you move on to more advanced kind of areas. And that's basically how it is. I'm sorry, I don't have an exact number to help you with that, but it's a very high percentage in the 90 plus that's successful.
Rashid, I think we'll go to a last question. If people have more questions, they can set up a meeting. There was a question from Jose. What AI service platform does your team has experience with? Example, Copilot, OpenAI, etc.
Yeah, good question. So we have experience with Copilot, but the biggest tool set that we use are LangChain, LangGraph, because it doesn't charge per user. With Copilot, you end up paying $25 per user that are using, or they have different licensing models. I don't want to completely turn them down, but a lot of what we do is based on that stack, the LangChain, LangGraph, and I recommend it because it's very versatile and open, and really it's a thin layer on top of the OpenAI, or we use OpenAI, Claude, or Gemini. We're not very model specific, but that's the layer that we choose to have on top of it for logging, auditing, and ease of use, basically. And we're trying, and most of the stuff, I don't know, I think it deploys to your own environment. And I think there are some frequently asked questions that I have answers to. So maybe if we share the slides, we can, those could be good answers. Hopefully that answers your question, Jose.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I know that I can see the audience is dropping now, but thank you, Rashid, for this valuable presentation. I'm sure everybody wants some more insight or help or to understand the impact. Feel free to set up a meeting. We'll share the slides and the recording, and we can follow up with all of you if necessary.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.